Jimin of BTS has once again proven his unmatched influence in the K-pop industry by securing the #1 position in the December 2025 boy group individual brand reputation ranking, marking yet another milestone in his consistently dominant public presence. According to data released this month by the Korea Brand Reputation Research Institute, Jimin topped the chart with an overwhelming brand reputation index, outperforming dozens of active idols across the industry. This achievement reinforces his long-standing status as one of the most influential Korean artists globally, even during a period when group activities remained limited. The brand reputation rankings are calculated using extensive big data analysis, including consumer participation, media coverage, social media engagement, and community interaction. For December 2025, Jimin's name generated massive positive visibility across online platforms, reflecting strong emotional attachment from fans and sustained public interest. Analysts noted that keywords most frequently associated with Jimin this month included trust, impact, global, and artist, highlighting both his artistic credibility and his powerful personal brand. What makes this achievement particularly remarkable is the context in which it occurred. Despite minimal promotional activity and the absence of new solo music releases in recent weeks, Jimin continued to dominate conversations across social media, news outlets, and fan communities worldwide. His appearances in previously released content, ongoing chart performance of earlier solo work, and consistent media coverage related to his influence were enough to maintain his top position. Industry experts describe this phenomenon as a clear example of brand sustainability, a rare trait achieved by only a handful of artists. International fan engagement played a crucial role in this ranking. Global ARMY communities in the United States, Europe, Southeast Asia, and South America contributed significantly to Jimin's digital presence through trending discussions, streaming activity, and community-driven campaigns celebrating his artistry and character. Social listening data showed that mentions of Jimin surged steadily throughout December, particularly following renewed interest in BTS-related content and year-end cultural retrospectives. Beyond numbers and rankings, Jimin's continued dominance reflects a deeper connection with the public. His reputation is built not only on performance excellence, but also on authenticity, humility, and emotional expression, qualities frequently cited by fans and commentators alike. Cultural critics have pointed out that Jimin represents a modern idol archetype who bridges artistry and relatability, allowing his influence to transcend language and regional boundaries. As the year comes to a close, Jimin's return to the top of the brand reputation chart stands as one of the most defining individual achievements in K-pop for 2025. It signals that his presence remains as powerful as ever, setting high expectations for his future musical activities and reaffirming his role as a global cultural icon. With anticipation already building for what lies ahead, Jimin's December 2025 ranking is not just another statistic, it is a testament to enduring impact in an ever-evolving industry. Jimin's achievement at the top of the December 2025 boy group individual brand reputation ranking also highlights a broader shift in how long-term influence is measured in today's entertainment landscape. Unlike short-lived viral success driven by aggressive promotion, Jimin's brand strength has been built steadily over time, anchored in public trust and emotional resonance rather than momentary trends. Researchers involved in the analysis emphasized that his data showed an unusually high ratio of positive sentiment, indicating not just popularity, but deep-rooted admiration. Industry insiders point out that Jimin's name continues to surface organically in discussions far beyond music charts. Conversations around performance artistry, fashion influence, emotional storytelling, and even cultural diplomacy frequently reference him as a benchmark. This month's data showed particularly strong engagement from community platforms and long-form fan discussions, suggesting that audiences are not only consuming content related to Jimin, but actively reflecting on his artistic journey and personal growth. Another factor contributing to his December dominance is the enduring performance of his solo discography. Even without new releases, his previous songs continued to chart steadily across multiple global platforms, benefiting from year-end playlists, retrospective rankings, and renewed listener interest. Music analysts note that such longevity is rare and often signals a catalog that resonates beyond initial release cycles. In Jimin's case, listeners appear to return to his music for emotional comfort and artistic depth, reinforcing his reputation month after month. Media visibility also played a significant role. Throughout December, Jimin was frequently mentioned in articles reviewing the most influential K-pop figures of 2025, year-end cultural impact reports, and discussions about artists who have successfully expanded their reach globally. These mentions, while not always tied to new activities, kept his presence firmly embedded in public consciousness. The cumulative effect of these references significantly boosted his brand reputation score, according to analysts familiar with the data. Experts further observe that Jimin's appeal crosses demographic boundaries. Data from December 2025 indicates strong engagement not only among core K-pop fans, but also among casual listeners and international audiences who may not actively follow idol culture. This broader reach has elevated his brand into a space typically occupied by global pop figures rather than genre-specific idols, a distinction that strengthens his long-term market value. As discussions turn toward the future, Jimin's sustained #1 ranking has sparked renewed anticipation across the industry. Entertainment professionals suggest that any upcoming musical project, collaboration, or public appearance will likely generate immediate global attention, given the solid foundation of goodwill and recognition he currently holds. Brands and cultural institutions are also closely watching his trajectory, viewing him as a symbol of reliability, elegance, and international appeal. Ultimately, Jimin's December 2025 brand reputation victory is more than a monthly accolade. It reflects a carefully cultivated legacy that continues to grow even in quieter periods, demonstrating that true influence does not rely solely on constant exposure. As the global music industry moves into 2026, Jimin stands not just as a chart topper, but as a lasting cultural force whose presence remains firmly at the center of global conversation. Jimin's continued reign at the top of the brand reputation ranking has also reignited broader conversations about artistic identity in the post-hiatus era of global idol groups. Cultural commentators note that Jimin's individual recognition has not distanced him from BTS's collective legacy. Instead, it has strengthened public appreciation for the group's long-term impact. His personal achievements are frequently framed as extensions of BTS's artistic philosophy, discipline, sincerity, and emotional connection, values that remain central to his public image. Observers within the Korean entertainment industry have highlighted that Jimin's brand power in December 2025 reflects a rare balance between mystique and accessibility. While he maintains a relatively private personal life, his artistic expressions and past interviews continue to resonate deeply with audiences. Fans and media alike describe him as an artist who communicates most clearly through performance and music, rather than constant public exposure. This understated approach has contributed to an aura of authenticity, which analysts believe significantly boosts trust-based metrics within brand reputation evaluations. Social media data from late December further underscores this phenomenon. Rather than being driven by a single viral moment, Jimin's online presence showed consistent daily engagement, with fans revisiting performances, sharing reflective messages, and discussing his influence throughout the year. Many of these conversations centered on themes of resilience, emotional honesty, and artistic growth, positioning him as a figure of inspiration rather than mere entertainment. The December ranking also arrives at a symbolic moment, as the global music industry enters its annual period of reflection and forecasting. Year-end lists, retrospectives, and cultural summaries repeatedly included Jimin among the most impactful artists of 2025, even in the absence of new headline-making releases.
Such recognition suggests that his influence has reached a level where presence is felt as strongly through legacy as through activity. Looking ahead, analysts suggest that Jimin's current standing provides a powerful foundation for whatever direction his career takes next. Whether through future solo music, group activities, or artistic ventures beyond the traditional boundaries of K-pop, expectations remain exceptionally high. Industry leaders emphasize that audiences are not simply waiting for content, but are emotionally invested in his next chapter.
In this context, Jimin's #1 position in the December 2025 brand reputation ranking serves as a defining statement rather than a conclusion. It reflects an artist who has successfully transitioned from momentary success to enduring relevance, maintaining influence through sincerity, artistry, and a profound connection with the public. As anticipation builds for the year ahead, Jimin's continued dominance stands as clear evidence that true cultural impact is measured not by noise, but by resonance that lasts. Jimin's December 2025 achievement has also prompted renewed academic and industry discussion about the evolving definition of idol power in the digital age. Media researchers point out that Jimin's dominance in brand reputation metrics reflects a shift away from short-term promotional intensity toward long-term emotional equity. His visibility this month was not fueled by controversy or oversaturation, but by a steady accumulation of positive narratives that have followed him throughout his career. One striking detail in the December analysis is the stability of Jimin's ranking patterns. Data experts observed that his scores showed minimal fluctuation across key indicators such as media exposure, community engagement, and sentiment analysis. This consistency suggests a mature brand that is no longer dependent on spikes, but sustained by a loyal audience base and strong public credibility. In an industry often characterized by rapid turnover, such stability is increasingly rare and highly valued. Cultural analysts also emphasize the symbolic significance of Jimin's influence beyond entertainment. His name frequently appears in discussions about Korean soft power, global cultural exchange, and the internationalization of Asian pop music. Throughout December, references to Jimin surfaced in global think pieces and opinion columns, examining how individual artists contribute to South Korea's cultural presence worldwide. While these mentions may not directly involve music releases, they reinforce his role as a recognizable global figure. Fans, meanwhile, have interpreted this milestone as emotional validation rather than simple numerical success. Across online platforms, many expressed pride in seeing Jimin recognized for qualities they have long admired: kindness, dedication, vulnerability, and artistic integrity. These fan-driven narratives further strengthened his brand reputation by adding layers of meaning that go beyond traditional celebrity appeal. Analysts note that such emotional storytelling plays a powerful role in shaping public perception over time. The December data also carries implications for the future of solo artistry within established groups. Industry insiders suggest that Jimin's sustained individual recognition sets a precedent for how group-affiliated artists can maintain personal identity without fragmenting collective legacy. His case is increasingly cited in professional discussions as an example of how balance, patience, and authenticity can lead to enduring relevance. As 2025 draws to a close, Jimin's continued presence at the top of the brand reputation chart stands as a quiet yet powerful statement. It underscores a career defined not by constant reinvention, but by deepening impact. With global audiences watching closely and expectations steadily rising, his December #1 ranking feels less like a culmination and more like a marker along an ongoing journey, one that continues to shape the cultural landscape well beyond charts and headlines. Jimin's sustained leadership in the December 2025 Brand Reputation Index has further reinforced a growing consensus within the entertainment business that influence today is measured by continuity rather than frequency. Marketing strategists note that Jimin's case exemplifies how an artist can remain central to public discourse without relying on constant visibility. His name continues to circulate in media narratives naturally, often as a reference point when discussing excellence in performance, emotional storytelling, and global appeal.
Behind the numbers lies a pattern of audience behavior that experts find particularly compelling. Rather than chasing novelty, listeners and viewers appear to return repeatedly to Jimin's existing body of work, rewatching performances and revisiting music that carries emotional weight. This cyclical engagement suggests that his artistry functions as a form of cultural comfort, something audiences lean on during reflective periods such as the year's end. Analysts argue that this kind of relationship between artist and audience is what transforms popularity into legacy. The December data also highlights the role of trust in sustaining a public figure's reputation. Unlike trends driven by controversy or aggressive marketing, Jimin's brand is characterized by overwhelmingly positive sentiment and minimal polarization. Media researchers point out that even neutral discussions about K-pop or BTS frequently mention Jimin in affirming contexts, reinforcing a stable and respectful image. This trust-based recognition is considered one of the most valuable assets in long-term brand equity. Within the industry, producers and creative directors have increasingly cited Jimin as an example of how emotional intelligence translates into artistic longevity. His performances are often described as felt rather than merely watched, a distinction that resonates strongly with international audiences unfamiliar with the language, but deeply connected to the emotion. This cross-cultural accessibility has been a key driver behind his consistent global recognition, including his December 2025 ranking. As conversations gradually shift toward 2026, speculation continues to build, not around whether Jimin will remain influential, but how his next steps might redefine expectations once again. Whether through new music, collaborative projects, or quieter artistic expressions, the foundation he has built allows for flexibility without risk of fading relevance. Industry voices agree that anticipation itself has become part of his brand, fueled by patience rather than urgency. In this light, Jimin's latest #1 ranking is best understood not as a peep, but as evidence of momentum sustained through authenticity. It reflects an artist whose impact deepens over time, shaped by emotional connection, artistic consistency, and global trust. As the calendar turns and the industry looks ahead, Jimin stands firmly positioned not just as a leading figure of the moment, but as a lasting presence, whose influence continues to unfold. Jimin's sustained recognition at the top of the December 2025 Brand Reputation Index has further reinforced a growing consensus within the entertainment business that influence today is measured by continuity rather than frequency. Marketing strategists note that Jimin's case exemplifies how an artist can remain central to public discourse without relying on constant visibility. His name continues to circulate in media narratives naturally, often as a reference point when discussing excellence in performance, emotional storytelling, and global appeal. Behind the numbers lies a pattern of audience behavior that experts find particularly compelling. Rather than chasing novelty, listeners and viewers appear to return repeatedly to Jimin's existing body of work, rewatching performances and revisiting music that carries emotional weight. This cyclical engagement suggests that his artistry functions as a form of cultural comfort, something audiences lean on during reflective periods such as the year's end. Analysts argue that this kind of relationship between artist and audience is what transforms popularity into legacy. The December data also highlights the role of trust in sustaining a public figure's reputation. Unlike trends driven by controversy or aggressive marketing, Jimin's brand is characterized by overwhelmingly positive sentiment and minimal polarization. Media researchers point out that even neutral discussions about K-pop or BTS frequently mention Jimin in affirming contexts, reinforcing a stable and respectful image. This trust-based recognition is considered one of the most valuable assets in long-term brand equity. Within the industry, producers and creative directors have increasingly cited Jimin as an example of how emotional intelligence translates into artistic longevity. His performances are often described as felt rather than merely watched, a distinction that resonates strongly with international audiences unfamiliar with the language, but deeply connected to the emotion. This cross-cultural accessibility has been a key driver behind his consistent global recognition, including his December 2025 ranking. As conversations gradually shift toward 2026, speculation continues to build, not around whether Jimin will remain influential, but how his next steps might redefine expectations once again. Whether through new music, collaborative projects, or quieter artistic expressions, the foundation he has built allows for flexibility without risk of fading relevance. Industry voices agree that anticipation itself has become part of his brand, fueled by patience rather than urgency. In this light, Jimin's latest #1 ranking is best understood not as a peak, but as evidence of momentum sustained through authenticity. It reflects an artist whose impact deepens over time, shaped by emotional connection, artistic consistency, and global trust. As the calendar turns and the industry looks ahead, Jimin stands firmly positioned not just as a leading figure of the moment, but as a lasting presence, whose influence continues to unfold. Jimin's sustained recognition at the top of the December 2025 Brand Reputation Index has further reinforced a growing consensus within the entertainment business that influence today is measured by continuity rather than frequency. Marketing strategists note that Jimin's case exemplifies how an artist can remain central to public discourse without relying on constant visibility. His name continues to circulate in media narratives naturally, often as a reference point when discussing excellence in performance, emotional storytelling, and global appeal. Behind the numbers lies a pattern of audience behavior that experts find particularly compelling. Rather than chasing novelty, listeners and viewers appear to return repeatedly to Jimin's existing body of work, rewatching performances and revisiting music that carries emotional weight. This cyclical engagement suggests that his artistry functions as a form of cultural comfort, something audiences lean on during reflective periods such as the year's end. Analysts argue that this kind of relationship between artist and audience is what transforms popularity.
Jimin's December 2025 distinction has ultimately come to represent a broader redefinition of success within the global music ecosystem. Rather than being framed as a competitive victory over peers, his #1 placement is increasingly discussed as a reflection of accumulated respect earned through years of artistic consistency, emotional honesty, and disciplined self-management. Commentators argue that this form of recognition carries greater cultural weight than short-term chart domination, as it signals alignment between public perception and long-term artistic values. What stands out most in post-ranking analyses is how little surprise the result generated among industry observers. Many had anticipated Jimin's continued dominance, citing months of steady engagement indicators and a lack of negative sentiment surrounding his name. This predictability, far from diminishing the achievement, underscores its significance. In a fast-moving industry where public favor can shift overnight, being reliably expected to rank first has become a testament to institutional-level influence. Educational and cultural sectors have also taken note. Discussions about contemporary Korean pop culture increasingly reference Jimin when examining how idols transition from entertainment figures into symbols of emotional expression and global connection. His performances are often cited in academic commentary as examples of how nonverbal storytelling can cross linguistic and cultural boundaries, reinforcing the idea that his impact operates on both artistic and socio-cultural levels. As year-end evaluations continue, Jimin's December 2025 ranking is frequently used as a concluding reference point, an example of how 2025 rewarded artists who prioritized depth over noise. For fans, the recognition serves as reassurance that the qualities they value most in him are also acknowledged on an institutional scale. For the industry, it offers a blueprint for longevity in an environment often driven by immediacy. In closing, Jimin's return to the top of the brand reputation chart in December 2025 does not feel like a moment frozen in time, but part of a longer narrative still unfolding. It reflects an artist whose influence matures alongside his audience, growing quieter yet stronger with each passing year. As the global music world steps into a new cycle, his sustained presence stands as proof that relevance built on sincerity does not expire, it evolves. Jimin's December 2025 recognition has also prompted renewed reflection on the emotional architecture of his artistry, an aspect frequently cited by critics as the core of his enduring appeal. Reviewers note that Jimin's performances, even when revisited months or years after their release, retain a sense of immediacy. This timeless quality has been credited with sustaining audience engagement during quieter periods, allowing his reputation to grow through remembrance rather than repetition. Within fan communities, the latest ranking has sparked discussions not centered on celebration alone, but on meaning. Many fans describe Jimin's journey as one that mirrors their own emotional growth, citing his vulnerability and discipline as sources of comfort and motivation. These narratives, shared widely across global platforms in December, contributed to a collective ownership over his success, an emotional investment that analysts identify as a powerful driver of long-term brand strength. Media professionals have also highlighted how Jimin's image avoids the polarization often associated with high-profile celebrities. His public narrative remains largely free of controversy, enabling neutral audiences to engage without resistance. This absence of friction, experts argue, allows positive impressions to accumulate steadily, strengthening trust metrics that are central to brand reputation evaluations. As conversations continue into the final days of 2025, Jimin's #1 placement is increasingly framed as a reference point rather than a headline. It appears in broader analyses of cultural endurance, creative integrity, and the shifting relationship between artists and their audiences. In these discussions, his name functions less as news and more as context, an indicator of stability in an industry defined by constant change. Ultimately, the significance of Jimin's December 2025 ranking lies not in its repetition, but in its resonance. It affirms a model of influence built on emotional clarity, patience, and mutual respect between artist and audience. As the industry looks ahead, this achievement quietly reinforces a central truth: when connection is genuine and sustained, recognition follows naturally and lasts.